It Fights Back here. I ran 450 Tier 12 maps, half with low investment and half with high investment, while simultaneously farming synthesis bosses in the most optimized way I could come up with. I documented as much as I reasonably could in a spreadsheet which contains a lot of information. I'm going to walk you through the spreadsheet, highlighting the biggest takeaways. A link to this spreadsheet is in the description below if you would like to take a look at it yourself. This is the main overview sheet showing the overall currency breakdown, information about what I did, master spawn rates, and links to all of the other sheets in the document, along with descriptions of what you will find on each. Of the 450 maps, 225 were ran by chiseling to 20%, alching, and running with 8% quantity on the map device. These were the low investment maps. The other 225 were chiseled to 20%, scour alch to a minimum of 80% quantity, ran with 4 red sextants, 3 sacrifice fragments, and the Xena essence mod. All maps were run with 154 of 159 Atlas bonus, 0% player quant and rarity, and no Shaper Elder influence. I killed all bosses, picked up uniques and some rares, and did not open chests. The first thing to really note here is that I gained more overall profit from the low investment maps than the high investment maps. This is largely due to the cost of investment. We can go to the detailed currency breakdown to look at it closer. Here, the value from the rares and uniques I sold is not included. Currency and map values constantly fluctuate, and exalts were as low as 100 chaos during portions of running all of these maps. I added links back to the overview sheet on each page for easier navigation. On the higher investment breakdown, it is really easy to see that I got much more out of the higher investment maps, but it came at a cost. Obviously, the value from map drops would be higher if running higher tier maps, but I can conclude that the addition of sacrifice fragments in T12 maps does not seem to be worth it. I will illustrate this further in a moment when looking specifically at the map drops. On the Maps tab, there are 3 different looks at the map data. First is the raw map drops from the low versus high investment maps plotted on the graphs shown below. I also calculated the percentage of total maps that dropped, the percentage chance each tier of map dropped, and the percentage chance for a T12 or higher map to drop. On the right side are the totals of the number of each Tier 12 map I ran in each set, with the average quantity, rarity, and pack size for each along with totals. From the 225 Alc and Go maps, I had 33 maps that dropped 0 maps, while only 9 such maps from those ran with Sextants. I kept track of when maps dropped from the essence mobs in the sextanted maps and removed them from the totals shown and plotted here. Scrolling down on this sheet, I have another set of graphs. I split the number of map drops from the Alc and Go maps into portions that reflected the number of maps that theoretically dropped from the base map and those that dropped due to the increased item quantity on the map. I took the base map drop numbers and factored in the increased item quantity for the sextanted maps to create a projection of the map drop numbers were I to run them without sextants. This is shown on the right graph here. All of the value that I dumped into scour alching maps to reach at least 80% quantity and 3 sacrifice fragments only would have theoretically added 42 additional map drops across 225 maps. The increased quantity does further scale with the additions you gain from running sextants, which is shown from the actual results on the graph as well. Lastly, I want to compare the drops I recorded in the sextanted maps with those I recorded using the same amount of investment in T11 maps. I will note that I paid no attention to Shaper Elder influence whatsoever when running the T11 maps. I added the map drops from the essence mobs back in here as I included those in T11 maps as well. I think this mainly shows the effect Shaper Elder influence can have on map drops, but even in that case it is not exact because not all T11 maps had Shaper Elder influence. Going back to the overview, I want to quickly point out the master spawn rates I saw. There is supposedly an 8% chance for any given master to spawn in a map, a 40% chance overall. With a 450 map dataset, I hope these numbers would more closely resemble such. RNG will RNG or GGG will lie about these, but these numbers are the results I saw. Anyways, I calculated all value from side content separately. I gained a lot of currency from side content. largely due to synthesis boss farming. I dropped 4 bottled faith flasks from the Cortex and synthesized several very valuable circle rings. Going to the Synthesis Bosses tab, I show how many of each synthesis boss I spawned across these maps, as well as the number of uniques I got. I spent most of the low investment portion of the mapping developing the boss farming process that I used from then on out. I detailed this optimized boss farming strategy in the video linked on this sheet and in the description down below. From the time I finalized this strategy, I was able to spawn a synthesis boss in just under 50% of the memory fragments I completed using this strategy. I also listed here the circle rings that I found and synthesized, along with the price I sold/have them listed for. Most of them sold, however. Careful crafting of implicits on these unique rings with some good luck on the Herald mods that roll can be extremely valuable. That is it for the juicy meat of what I have presented here, but I will run through the additional sheets to show you what other information I gathered should you be interested. The Sextant tab shows the sextants I ran on each grouping of maps, along with how many sextants were required to bypass the sextant mods I did not want to run, which are listed at the top. On the right side, I calculated the percentage chance that each mod showed up. The Remnants tab shows which essences I chose to use a Remnant of Corruption on, along with the result. The percentage likelihood of each of the 4 outcomes I saw is also calculated here. The Essence tab shows the number of essences I gathered of each type, upconverts them, and calculates their value. I think I have had enough of farming essences for this league. The Divination card tab shows the quantity of each divination card that dropped along with the maps it can drop in. The percentage drop chance was calculated over the number of those specific maps I ran in the low or high investment setting respectively. Please note, this is not sufficient data on rare divination card drop rates. I will however point out that I got 60 Emperor's Luck cards across 31 Alc and Go Terrace maps, whereas I got 75 Emperor's Luck cards from only 15 Sextanted Terrace maps. The Rares tab has screen captures of each rare item I picked up off of the ground, crafted something on it if I was able, and then put up for sale. The trade searches that I used to price check each item are linked next to each picture, and there is easy navigation between items and the top of this sheet. If you are looking to learn more about how to price check rare items, this may be a valuable tool to you. Or if you just want to see what item I was able to sell for such and such price, you can do that too. This took me like 4 weeks and prices fluctuate, so values may have changed over time. I did a similar thing with uniques and beasts, though these are much simpler searches, but it is here as well. This now brings me to the Notes tab. I took detailed notes on every single map that I ran, tracking the masters, map drops, as well as anything else of note. I was also keeping track of the synthesis boss spawns, the difficult mods they rolled on them, and what, if anything, they dropped of value. I have already shown that I made a lot of currency off of synthesis boss uniques, but I have yet to mention any of the valuable 2 to 3 mod fractured items they dropped. There is a lot of information crammed into these sheets if digging through that is something you are into. I attempted to keep track of maps that dropped specifically from memory fragments, but I did not trust my ability to catch all of them, so I did not play with those numbers at all. The last 2 sheets just list the quantity, rarity, and pack size of each map I rolled, nothing more. Now I have 314 Tier 13 maps, and there is a flashback league starting in like a week. I want to test out different Xenomods using the T13 maps. This will go faster than the T12 maps as I already have my Nexus set up for boss farming, and I'm not going to have to deal with Sextants or Sacrifice Fragments. I also plan on playing in the Flashback League for a bit, but I will get this done eventually. I could ignore Synthesis entirely to speed things up more, but with the League not going core, I'm going to keep farming those bosses. Even though it can be tiresome to go kill a Synthesis boss after 7 consecutive maps, I enjoy the fights, and there's too much potential value for me to pass up. That's it from me for now. Let me know if you enjoy seeing this kind of information. I have more videos planned, so subscribe if you would like to see more from me, and thanks for watching. Hold up just a minute, man. How you gonna tell me about map drops? You ain't opening no chests. I get maps from chests all the time. Hell, one time I opened a chest and Exhaust Orb came out, damn near shit my bridges. You must be out your mind not opening chests. The king dude said open the chest. Why ain't you listen? You don't know nothing about this game. You playing it all wrong. You gotta open the chest and you